This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah! Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, TPR Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from the Perfect RIA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday, where I'll be covering the highlights and action items from this week's episodes. As you know, at the Perfect RIA, we are all about action. And this week's episodes were jam-packed with action items throughout every single episode. On Monday, Matt and Micah were joined again by the Perfect RIA's Chief Technology Officer, Orion Matthews, to talk about what exactly is a lifestyle practice. What Matt and Micah mean with a lifestyle practice is one that delivers massive value to clients, but follows a surge meeting concept so that more value is being delivered in a smaller period of time. Micah talked about one of the tenets of the Perfect RIA, which is to be intentional. How do you become hyper intentional about the decisions that you're making? If you're at the office 8+ hours a day, a lot of this is playing office. Micah himself used to do this, but he said now that if I choose to be at the office, then I need to actually be at the office and deliver value that moves the needle. Orion believes that a lifestyle practice can apply across all industries. He said you need to make your time count. He shared a recent study that the average amount of time people spend on their iPhones is 6 hours a day. Where does that time go? He said you can cut time any way you want to. The challenge is to refocus yourself when you're at work and then take time off to recharge. You have to be intentional about your free time as well as your work time. Micah said if you're stretching 4 hours of work into 40 hours and playing office and not being hyper effective, you're setting a bad precedent for your clients and yourself. Matt added that by doing that, you're training yourself to play office. He compared the same situation with prospecting. How much time do you actually spend prospecting or on personal development? He said the best advisors are investing in themselves. The guys talked about multitasking, and Orion shared research that multitasking doesn't make you more effective. It's actually lowering your productivity. To reach your true productivity, you need to focus on one thing at a time. Micah brought up multitasking related to your family. He said if you can't multitask at work, then how are you multitasking with your family? Matt and Micah said you have to earn a lifestyle practice. For new advisors, there has to be a happy medium between working 70 to 80 hours a week and playing office and working one day a month, but you don't have any money and only have 6 clients. The guys said measure your success based on the activities that you can control. They then spent some time talking about prospecting, which is the first thing they feel a new advisor should do after getting their CFP. Matt shared how he handled prospecting, which was that before he left work, he would print out a list of people he needed to contact the next day. When he came in, he wouldn't turn on his computer until he called that list. Micah said you need to take the most challenging task for that day and make it the first thing that you do. Also, don't leave anything on your plate that you're going to dread that night either. It's the eat the frog concept and getting that worst thing done first. The guys wrapped up the episode talking about creating that lifestyle practice. Matt said he remembers the days where he couldn't dream about a lifestyle practice. It was more about making enough money to make a mortgage payment or to pay employees. He said that the tipping point was he needed to find someone who had the practice that he wanted, that he believed he could duplicate and do that. And that was really the reason Matt and Micah created the Perfect RIA. There's a path. It's hard work, but it's not magic. There's a formula to success that you don't need to figure out yourself. Let's go over Monday's action items. First, eat the frog. Start your day before you turn on that computer. You also need to find a personal development arena where you really thrive. What is that environment or atmosphere that leaves you really fired up? And lastly, look at your life and be intentional. What decisions are you making and how are you being hyper intentional about those decisions? This week's What Works Wednesday was a special treat because both Matt and Micah hosted this episode and were joined by Scott Rusnak, their EOS coach. The guys had just done a full day EOS retreat and were excited to have Scott on the podcast. Scott said the best entrepreneurs have the ability to take their foot off the gas and really look for those moments of clarity so they can push through to the next level. Scott has a lifetime career as an entrepreneur, and Matt and Micah said they needed a coach that when they say no or tell them to take their foot off the gas, that they're going to trust that coach and follow their advice. Scott said that he needs to be the guide, not the hero, and lead with intention. He's going to guide you along the journey so you can figure out your own path. Scott said if you can design your business and design your life before someone else does it for you, he thinks you can get everything you want. For designing your life, he said to have a rotating 12-month calendar so you can design where you're going to be for the next 4 quarters. He then referenced Dunbar's numbers 5, 15, 150. Who are the 5 most important people in your life? For Scott, that's his family. Who are the other 15? So for Scott, that's typically 15 clients at a time. And then 150 is the bigger group of people who you see maybe once a year. He said it's about your life, though, so not everyone else's. Be intentional about those numbers. Scott said the biggest thing for financial planners who are not good business owners is to go to your core values. Who are you at your core? Who do you want to surround yourself with? Where do you want to be in 90 days? Set up intentional rocks. Where do you want to be by the end of the year? What's your 1 year plan? Where do you want to be in 3 years? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Micah said he used to push back on core values because he didn't feel that people embraced it. Now he looks at core values as what's super important to you. And for Micah, that's integrity. Matt said that sometimes it's hard to have integrity with himself. And he said that's why a coach and extreme accountability is so important. You need to have someone who's going to help you. Willpower is not enough. Scott said that people will break through when the purpose is not about them. He said you should show up, be authentic, and help other people. Every day, he asks himself if his standards are higher today than they were yesterday. For advisors who are just getting started and who want to up their game, Scott recommends bringing it down to the basics. What do your weekly scorecard numbers look like? Develop a weekly scorecard that's scalable and repeatable. And every quarter, you need rocks, which will then help you to get to the end of the year. And have a 1 year plan. Lastly, Scott said to be intentional and make sure that you're connecting. He said if you can connect with people, he thinks you can break through with anything. Well, this episode was filled with action items and tips from Scott. Let's go over a few final action items from this episode. First, look at who is in your inner circle. Apply the filter on who has your time and attention, and are they energizing and uplifting you? Have KPIs for yourself and your key team members. Think about what are the KPIs that really drive the decisions that you're making, that you need to crush every week, and what is an objective measurement to put on those to make sure you're doing them. And make sure to that you're having them be something that's within your control. Lastly, Scott shared that you need people to wake up in the morning and ask what they're going to prune out of their life. What and who are they going to cut off, and what are they going to fertilize? Moving on to this week's Worlds to Conquer episode, Jamie dug into the issue of head trash. And newsflash, everyone has it. She said once you recognize your worst fear about trying to implement something new, your first instinct is that it's not going to work and that you're going to lose all of your clients and income. She said once you've articulated what your worst fears are, then the planning mentality can kick in. You can then start walking yourself off that ledge. Jamie said that we all have doubts and insecurities. You can probably recognize when other people have head trash, but what happens when it's your head trash? She said it's easy to feel shame about this. So, who do you turn to and give your burdens to? Jamie said that whatever you call your spiritual connection, it's generally a very quiet experience. For some, that connection is enough, but for others that need or want a community, there's nothing wrong with that. It's where you can bounce ideas off of and address your concerns and insecurities. At the Perfect REA, we do this through masterminds. Masterminds are formed with like-minded professionals in your community or career space, and you meet in person. You're around people who have the same concerns that you do, and you have an opportunity to share and have a day with you being in the hot seat where you can unpack your goals and ambitions. Jamie said we cannot change lives if we're not taking time to make a difference in our own lives. So when joining masterminds or peer groups, you need to find people who will challenge you. Masterminds are important so you can deal with people who are problem solvers. You're going to deal with solution oriented people, and it will help fill your cup. But Jamie also added that it's important for your team to have this as well. For her team, whether they're attending a mastermind or a conference, she gives them a mission. They have to come away with one implementable idea that they can immediately take action on. Jamie's pro tip is that every time you attend a conference, take a buffer day so you have space to go through the things that you want to review and implement. That way, when you get home, you're completely present. From there, Jamie asked, what are the things that you can do on a day-to-day basis in order to deal with your head trash? She said to look at creating a morning success ritual. Jamie shared what works for her, including going outside for 5 or 10 minutes, and this is in Alaska weather, giving gratitude, sharing a message of positivity with her son, and writing out a list of what she's going to conquer that day. Notice that she doesn't say go through her email. Her email does not become her to-do list. So think about, what is your morning success ritual that puts you in the headspace, the spiritual space, or the physical space to really go and conquer? What are the things that you're going to do every day that sets you up for success? Again, this episode was jam-packed with action items, so let's recap what you can do to help with that head trash. Join a mastermind. Find someone that you can be vulnerable with, a group that's going to be actionable and push you to an uncomfortable place, and look at who you are surrounding yourself with. If you have negative energy, change what you're eating, consuming, and doing on a day-to-day basis, and make sure that you're setting yourself up for success by only allowing people in your environment that are going to propel you towards greatness. Remember that boundaries are important because they keep you in your greatness. If you're leading a financial advisory office and aren't implementing these strategies for your team, you're doing them a disservice, and you'll only get them at their mediocre level. Evaluate your morning success ritual. What are you doing every single day when you get up to put yourself in the best mind frame to conquer and achieve all of your goals? Stop being reactionary and start being proactive. Take control of your day. Get out of your email, write down your goals, do big things, and do them in the morning, because from there, you're going to go and change lives. That wraps up this week's highlights and action items. Thank you for joining me today, and be sure to give us 5 stars wherever you're listening, and share this or any of our episodes with another advisor who you think might benefit. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife.